On today's show, we have Arielle Caputo. In her interview, she discusses building supportive communities through uplifting words and events. Arielle's work covers nonprofits, support groups for mental health, as well as suicide prevention. The most recent event is the Female Empowerment Summit at the Waldorf Astoria, a sustainability-focused summit to bridge industries and to create connections with entrepreneurs and aspiring individuals. Thank you and enjoy the show. Well, hi everybody, and welcome back again to the Power of Words at Studio Place. Really excited to be back here with a very special guest who's also a very special friend. And I can't wait to share how we align on the power of words, which is such a beautiful and amazing story. So welcome back, everyone. And hello, Arielle Caputo. Arielle Caputo is the founder of CC Agency, and she does amazing work, does some of the best events, which is actually how we connected and have been steadfast ever since. And I've actually spoken every day since summer last year. Welcome, Arielle, and so happy to have you and grateful that you squeezed in this podcast with me.
Thank you so much. It's a delight being with you always.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that humor enough now? Well, let's talk a little bit about, I know words mean so much to you. One of the first things you said at our event that we did together recently is how you live your life using words on a daily basis. And that aligns with what we're doing with words. So let's talk about what words mean to you in your life every day.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give a little story and example. When I was 18, 19, I was in a really bad jet ski accident, and I broke both feet, dislocated my hip, and I fractured my neck.
Wow.
So I was living in chronic pain for years afterwards, doing physical therapy, massage therapy, acupuncture, chiropractor, and then was even living on pain pills just to survive the day. And this is probably about 5 years into this. One day I realized, and I was thinking, how am I supposed to change this situation if every day I'm saying that I'm in pain? And I realized every single morning when I would go into work, my coworkers, out of being genuinely kind, would say, "How are you feeling today?" And every single day I was like, "I'm okay, thank you. My back really hurts, but it's okay. Thank you for asking." And it was a light bulb moment because I realized you hear these sayings, like once you say something 3 times a day, it becomes set in stone. And imagine how many times you say something beyond those 3 times. And so I told all workers and my friends at the time, I'm going to test out this theory. Don't ask me how I'm doing. Don't ask me how I'm feeling. Don't ask me about my back because I can't talk about it. And so we just avoided the conversation altogether. And then I started doing yoga. I started doing other practices at the same time. But I realized at this time my back stopped hurting. And I realized how much control our words have over our life that we don't even realize. Alone, it's keeping us trapped in the present, but it's also creating the future circumstances. And that was a big aha moment for me.
That's amazing that you say, it keeps you in the present moment, but also spins into the future circumstances. You stopped talking about the negative words that were impacting you and that let you live in the pain. Did you replace them with positive words? Did you replace them with something else that helped you think? And it's mind over body, right? Everything that you have in your mind somehow controls what you're feeling in your body. What did you replace that with?
Absolutely. So I had to find a truth that still felt good to me. And so I started with writing, "I am okay." And I literally wrote it on a sticky note and stuck it next to my bed. So it was the first thing I would see when I woke up. And then I stuck one in my car when you pull down the mirror. And then I stuck one in my bathroom on the mirror. And I would just practice, "Today I'm okay." and I would feel what would okay feel like. And then when I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm feeling better than okay, then I would switch out the phrase. Each day is becoming easier and easier, or better and better. And so I started choosing little phrases and words that still felt like a truth and telling myself in my head and seeing it visually in places that I would be reminded. And then I took it a step further and I put alarms on my phone. And I put one for every single hour to remind myself. And I would do different phrases, but we get so caught up in this rat race almost in our circumstance. I'm a mom, I got kids, I gotta take school, I gotta go to work. And we get so busy that we're like, when am I supposed to control these outside circumstances? But one minute or maybe 30 seconds, you can control how you feel in those 30 seconds. And so I'd put an alarm on my phone every hour. And when that alarm went off, no matter what I was doing, where I was, I had to pause, say it to myself, and then feel what that feeling would be inside of my body.
Wow.
And I remember it took about 2 to 3 months where all of a sudden I was walking out of a grocery store and I was just like, smiling.
I forgot you were in pain.
And I caught myself and I was like, wait, I have reached the point. I had reached the point where I tipped the scale into this new energy, these new words, and I was now embodying it. So I got to witness this firsthand transformation in my life, and that's when I saw how powerful the words we say about ourselves and to each other really are.
True. You know, and what I would do is, you know, we have 7 buckets of the power of words, right? Where I would take your I'm okay and put it into optimism. So I would convert that phrase to optimism.
Absolutely. Imagine you wearing the bracelet and every time you move your hand, touch something, it's that color
there.
association and the word association. Absolutely.
You know, that's why I like taking your words, whatever they might be, and find what you're looking to use it for and fit it into the power of 7.
I love that.
So I know there's been so many struggles. You know, you're a single mom. You have a very interesting...
Single.
Single. Just putting it out there. Amazing, amazing woman. But tell us, you had a really rough start, and I would love for you to share that, because I do believe, and I say it over and over again, through sharing your vulnerabilities is how people know that they're not alone. And how do you overcome that? But words were one thing, but let's go back to share a little bit about how you started and where you started.
It's interesting because you'll share a story or give advice and people are like, okay, yeah, whatever, you've had it good. And we have no idea, right, what people are walking around and have been through. I was born and raised in a cult. I'm the oldest of 8 kids.
Wow.
We lived on a compound in a communal home for the first 10 years of my life. So I lived with 50 people in one house. The community owned a church and a school and several businesses. So pretty much everything you needed was inside of the community. We wore uniforms, head to toe. We were fully covered, no jewelry, no makeup. You didn't do anything to draw attention to yourselves. And as a young woman, you were raised to be in service to your future husband. No one went to school, no one went to college because...
Oh, no education?
No. Basic,
life.
K through 12, but no college beyond that because you're just going to be a stay-at-home mom and wife. What was the point?
So your husband's already been chosen or allocated from the cult?
The community would decide on who the good fits were with the different families and put them together. So a very controlled environment. And it was about 16, 17, also... So it was very small. That's why about 400 or 500 people. So my class alone had 9 of us. So there were 5 girls, 4 boys, which means 1 is left out. So you do the numbers there. So I remember thinking like around 16, 17, this cannot be all of life. And I didn't grow up with a TV. Well, we didn't get a TV till 12, 13, 14, around there. And then, even then, we didn't have cable. So what we saw was very controlled and limited. So I didn't have a perception of the outside world, except that there's a scripture in the Bible that says, those who are world are evil. So we were told everyone in this community was good because we all went to this church, and everybody outside of this community was bad because they didn't go to this.
Wow.
So yeah, it was about 16, 17 where I just started being like, this cannot be all of life. This cannot be it, but I had no idea what was out there.
You had absolutely no idea because you were born into the cult.
So we would go to normal grocery stores. We would go on vacation, so you would see people, but your interaction with them was very limited.
Because they were bad.
Yes.
Oh, not good. They were not bad.
They were not bad. They just weren't
good.
They just weren't chosen, and it was our job as a Christian to save them and to fix them. One of the big perks, though, of the community is that we were high-tech media-based. So we grew up on top-of-the-line equipment. We all knew how to write music, play instruments, sing, record, operate cameras, editing equipment, because they felt that our children needed to know this technology in order to create content to then save the world. So I kept telling my parents, I really want to go to college. I want to learn more about film and post-production, and I can help you make better Christian educational content. That was the reasoning. And it was just not happening, not at all.
You know, I've heard about this and, you know, seen it on television when they break through a cult to get into it, but I've never really met anybody that's grown up in it. And since I've met you, I've learned so much more that this is actually out there. This is reality. And it's taken a lot for you to break through that. How did you come out of it?
The story is a long one, so I'll do the shortened version. But one day I said I really want to go to college, and my parents did not like that idea. So I took all my bags and I left. And I ended up moving in. So at the time, I got a job for the doctor that was outside of our community that all of our community members would see. So I was 17, 18. So I started working with her and seeing normal people in the doctor's office. And that's when my mind started being like, what?
So much more.
You have, and just like the nurses were nice, the doctors were nice, they were volunteering, they were feeding homeless. And I'm like, you're trying to tell me that because your church, they're evil, but they're actually out there helping people. You're not, but you walked into the door of the church, so you're going to heaven. So the confusion started happening. But yeah, so I ended up calling the doctor that I worked for and said, I need to leave. And she was aware of what was happening, and she took me in. Very lovely woman. But what we don't heal in our adulthood, we recreate in our adulthood out of familiarity. The environment that we know, so then we attract it and welcome it back in. So I ended up getting involved in a super toxic relationship, and you just become very narrow-minded and fixated, and you have to realize my entire world, every single person I knew, once I stepped out of that door of my parents' house, cut off. No contact whatsoever with my siblings, all my friends, everyone I grew up with. So at 18, I lost everything. So my mind was like, I was going through feelings of abandonment, isolation, loneliness, you name all of it. And so then when you find one person, no matter how toxic, you're just like, this person loves me, okay. And then we just latch onto it and think that's all we'll be. And my feelings of worthiness, confidence, any of that, but below ground zero. So it was a big transition. Ended up being involved in an abusive relationship. Took me a while to get out of that. Ended up homeless on the streets. Not a fun situation.
I can imagine.
So I've been there. I know what it's like to be very, 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 very hungry. Everywhere I was going, I'd be glancing in seat cushions looking for coins, because if I had 100 pennies, I could get a $1 cheeseburger and I'd have a meal. So the smallest coins would add up. I knew all the nearest food banks. I knew what days I could pick up food. It was not a fun time. And then fast forward, I ended up going back to him again. And
You had a baby at that time?
not quite yet.
Okay.
I went back to him, tried to do this, like, oh, this person loves me, he's changed. And then the relationship was just as bad the first time around. So I ended up contacting an old friend, left my car, my clothes, everything behind. She bought me a ticket, a one-way, and I left and went back to Washington to move in with her and to get back on my feet and start over again. And I was donating blood with a friend 3 months later, and the nurse says, wow, that's so nice of you to do while you're pregnant.
Wow.
And I said, that's not my blood. That's not mine. You have to do that again. And she came back and said, this is your blood, babe. You're pregnant. So that's how I found out. It was probably about 4 months along.
Were you happy at that time that you'd left, knowing that if you knew that you were pregnant, would your choice have been different? Would you have decided to stay?
That's
Did
a
you
good
think about
question. I've never actually thought about that. No, I hope not. It was time and time to end. But you have to remember, like, the years of transitioning, everything that we were taught in the community is almost opposite of everything that you're taught in the real world. Things like, we want our children to be independent and to be adults that make their own decisions. That's what I have a daughter now, that's what we're guiding her to do.
Yeah, we try.
Right? We try.
We try.
But the theory and logic in the community is the exact opposite. You need to be dependent. Everything, you build community, safety in numbers, go to your peers for advice. So every single decision that was ever made for my whole life was made with a multitude of individuals. Everything from, like, when we would choose clothes, the elders' wives would have to approve the clothing that we wore. So to go from super controlled and so many people involved in every decision of your life to the opposite. Like, I remember for years my physical brain hurt, like turning its wheels. So that there's definitely years, and you're just in pure survival. When you're homeless and you're hungry, you're in pure survival mode. It's fight or flight. It's whatever I got to do to figure out the next meal and to keep a roof and to be safe. So you're not quite in this expanded embodiment of your headspace.
You know, when you talk about the cult, and I'm going off on a different topic altogether, but when you talk about the cult and growing up in this protected space, and, you know, I'm a protective parent, and my kids are probably going, yeah, right now if they watch this, but, and we want them to be independent, but we want to be protective of them, which is why we feel like we're controlling. We're not controlling, but just wanting to be protective. And it comes from the culture we've been raised in. Mm-hmm. And of course, the cult is an extreme. But for parents today that, you know, if you're talking about a country like India, where you're so close with you have your grandparents, you have your aunts, you have your uncle, everyone has a say in what you do. And I never minded that, actually.
I understand it, too.
I like the big family, everybody being interactive. My husband comes from a very big family as well, and I kind of like that.
I understand
to being isolated. Maybe because when I left home and moved to not left home, I didn't run away from home, but when I moved away from home, I you know, had to look for people that were like me. I had to look for people that had the same family values and same morals. So in so many ways, when it's done right, it's a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful. It's safety. We weren't meant to be isolated humans. We would have all been given our own island or planet if that was the truth. We're tribal. We're meant to be in communities, and there's a safety in it. So I understand the logic to creating this perfect utopia.
Yeah.
It's just when things become extreme.
A protected space.
Absolutely.
A safe space.
And that's what we want to do with this, and what we seek to do in LA and beyond.
Yeah.
There's
the power of words,
absolutely.
building that safe community.
Exactly. It's like, oh, you're one of me. We have our word on.
Yes.
I see. Right?
You have a few words on.
I do have a few words. But it's that recognition, it's that association to, we're not really strangers. And in 2 minutes of a conversation, having empathy realizing that everyone has a story or they're going through something, and that's what you're doing with the bands. People see that within seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, you're one of me. I can talk to you, almost.
Yeah.
Because you
It's a
have
cartoon
chosen.
way. In a good way.
We're building community.
Yes, we're building community.
Absolutely.
I think it's, yes, and when I see someone, and because it's so new and it's just starting to grow, when I see someone, I'm so excited. I want to actually walk up to them and talk to them and understand, and sometimes maybe I'm a little overbearing, but the excitement of seeing this, turn into an actual movement, like we call it the Power of Words movement, but using words on a daily basis. And I've really enjoyed, working with you, and we don't work together, but we kind of work
Collaborate.
Collaborate, and we're building things, and hopefully this will come out before the big event we're meant to do, but let's talk about what's this journey you're on with, your new organization. I know you're doing so many amazing events. What are you hoping to achieve? What does success look like for you, for CC Agency?
Thank you. That's a good question. I want to save the world, right? But I've been learning I don't need to save the world. It is not my job. The world is doing a great job. I just want to enjoy the process of others along their journey. So for me, that's in the event space. I started volunteering at every homeless shelter I could 10 years ago as a way to give back and spend time with children. I feel like adults have a choice in their circumstances. Children often don't. They're just kind of thrown into it. So I wanted to show them that there are good people and people do care. So I started throwing community events at different homeless shelters, and each one got bigger and bigger, and rallying the community behind me. And we would do things like all the kids needed new shoes, so we built a sneaker festival inside of the shelter on the basketball courts, roped it off. They had to get a wristband to attend. We built this huge shoe wall. Nike and Adidas donated, so the kids got to come in, point at the wall, and put shoes on, try them, and they each left with 3 pairs.
Amazing.
So it was all about building an experience instead of just writing a check.
Nike and Adidas.
Yes, they were amazing.
Brilliant organizations.
And so the event just kind of got bigger and bigger, and I had so much fun doing the NFTLA conference last year as head of social impact, and marrying the nonprofit and for-profit together, because there are so many amazing nonprofits out there doing incredible work like yours, and they all need funding. And every nonprofit that always comes up in our meetings, funding. And I was like, okay, how do we help nonprofits with passive income? And that was the light bulb moment. We marry them with for-profits together. And both are helping out each other. You're establishing the brand and the company as a business that cares about the community, and you're helping build good PR around them. But then you're giving visibility and funding to these nonprofits that are doing incredible work. They don't have to spend all their time and effort looking for funds now. They can go actually do the work that they're trying to do. So that's what I'm focusing on as an agency, is marrying these two worlds together, and whether that's in a conference, a festival, or a clothing line, or fitness centers, restaurants. How do we bridge these two to help both build and expand and continue to do all the amazing work, which is make an impact?
Such a brilliant idea. This is so great. And I have to say, I've always been shy of being in front of the camera. And there was no other way to amplify my voice except getting in this seat and talking to amazing people like you. But I could not have done that without the founder of the studio, who offered me the space, which I could not afford to actually walk in space and do interviews 2 or 3 times a day. And he doesn't want to be mentioned, so I won't say it, but it's Studio Place, and I'm really, really grateful for that.
He is amazing. I can vouch for that.
Yeah. Something we align on in a big way, and one of our ambassadors, one of our young ambassadors actually, who's at university, who's starting the Power of Words Club at his university, is a big advocate of suicide prevention training. I'm on the board of the D.D. Hirsch Mental Health Services, and I firmly believe that everybody should be trained in suicide prevention. With not just because someone around you is suicidal or you're suicidal, but just because you see the signs. And it also trains you to be vigilant, to be aware, to say the right things. You never know when you're in a space where someone might need help. So, and I know you are also trained in suicide prevention. Let's talk a little bit about what made you go down that path and why did you get trained in suicide prevention? And the importance of it really, I want to see more people coming up to say, I'd love to do this. One of the events we do is going to offer that.
I love that. I agree with you. Everyone should just have the training because you see the signs, you pick up on the body language, the verbal cues, and then you know how to listen properly too. Sometimes people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's missing in our society is that feeling of intimacy. And that's being seen and heard, not just in that way. But so after being homeless and then shifting and struggling and moving here with a 6-month-old baby and working 2 full-time jobs and going through all of that, and then I dealt with depression really bad for quite some time. And then I started implementing the practices that I shared earlier, trying to shift my vocabulary and writing, physically writing out my new story. Who was this woman that I wanted to embody?
Manifestation in some way.
Exactly. And I'll share a story. So I went to go do yoga for the first time. And I'm nervous. I have my mat. I forgot what studio I was going to. And I'm watching everyone else. Okay, they roll out the mat. All right, we sit down. All right, we're going to get started. And everyone's chit-chatting. All of a sudden, the room went hush. And I look up, and this woman, the instructor, walked in. And I was like, oh, my God, she's so beautiful. And I'm sitting there like you, like just captivating and very charismatic. And I was just like, I want to be her. And then I started looking closer, and I'm analyzing. And I said, she's not a perfect 10 by LA standards. So I was like, what is it that captivated me and everyone else in the room? And I said, energy, presence. And that was the first time I had actually the word energy. And so I said, if she can do that and she's not a 10, then I can do that. And that was
anyone can do that.
Anyone. And that was the big shift to going down my healing journey. And I love it, being magic and being like, what is this energy and presence that I want to embody, and how do I want people to perceive me? I want people being like, oh, she's the hottest girl in the room. No. I want people to say, oh my God, this woman is so lovely and she's so kind and she's so caring. And if you talk to her, you feel amazing. That's energy.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I started doing these tips and tricks, and I watched my own personal transformation happen. And it came back to the words we were choosing. And so then I said, I want to help others. And so then I started going to every different type of depression, suicide groups, different places. And I would sit and I would listen and observe. And week after week, everyone was coming in. Hi, my name is Bob. I've been suicidal since I was 14. Today was fine. And I was listening, and I was like, wait a minute, hold up. This is my 3rd time coming to this support group. This is the same story you said last week. How many times have you been saying this? If only I've heard it 3 times. For years. And that was the light bulb moment. I realized everyone's sharing their story and then keeping themselves trapped in it. And so I wanted to understand more. So then I went and did the suicide training with Diddy Hirsch. Phenomenal experience. Yeah. Like I said, you learn so much about really listening and hearing what people say in between the words, and that we're all really seeking connection. And it's when you feel so suicidal, it's almost like you've given up on, you don't have anyone that you feel, see, and hears you and connects with you. And so I did the training, and then I started volunteering for the different support groups, and then got really frustrated at the format. Nope, this is the format. People come in, they share their story, and we leave. And I said, no, this cannot be. And so then I started calling every nonprofit in LA, saying I really want to do a support group. I'm suicide trained. And one said yes. In Culver City, thank you. And they allowed me to be free. I think I paid like a $50 per month because I really, really wanted to keep it free for attendees. And I dragged my 4 best friends. I said, you're coming with me to my first one. Sit there. We're going to do this. Next thing I knew, we had 90 people, 100 people coming every Tuesday at 6 p.m. And we had one rule. You got to come in the first time, you got to share your story. After that, you didn't get to share it again. And we would help each other choose different words. So you still got to express yourself and say what was going on. We had to choose a different word. Today was kind of rough, but I'm beginning to see that each day is getting easier and better, and I love that I'm connecting with kind humans, and you know what? I smiled for the first time today. I think I can smile again tomorrow. These were the conversations. It was all peer-led, but we were just helping each other choose different words.
The positive words.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not surprised you so aligned with what we're doing and you connected right away.
That's why when I met you, I was like, wait, what? Our background, this passion for mental health and our words and everything else and what you were seeking to do.
No, thank you. And thank you for being such a big part of this journey. And I know we will go a long way together. What's next for you?
What's next?
What's right around the corner?
We have several events around the corner. We have our
What's the one you're most looking forward to?
3 in the same week. But we have 2 events. We have the Female Empowerment Summit that we are
That's amazing.
supporting.
And everybody, if this is out before the summit happens, would love to see you all there. It's an amazing, empowering event with incredible women and men.
Yes, there'll be a handful sprinkled in there.
Without them, honestly.
So very excited to bridge industries, to bring incredible women together and to support each other and to really create this community. I think that's what we both are really about, is creating community here. And then I have my Soho Think Tanks, which is a collection of founders focused on impact and sustainability. Once again, it's a community of individuals so we can support each other, because I've been blessed to meet so many incredible humans. The goal is put them all in one room and then help each other with whatever needs, whether it's fundraising, building a business, product, but the commonality is impact or sustainability.
No, that's amazing. And thank you for doing all of this. We will share, or would you like to share, where's the best place to reach you? I know it's Arielle Caputo on Instagram.
That's probably the best because you can see everything visually, or my website, which is ccagency.io.
Okay, wonderful. Arielle, really lovely to have you. Thank you for being on my bus to wherever we're going. Oh, I want to say my jet.
I like that better too.
To wherever we're going, and I appreciate
Dubai, France, Italy, in case you're wondering.
Yes, India.
India,
Yeah.
all the places.
Thank you everybody for watching us today, and please stay connected and connect with Arielle and stay tuned to all the amazing things we have going on. Have a great day.